Did you pick up Risk of Rain Returns and have your runs go like this? Yeah, me too. There is no doubt that this game is hard and very different from Risk of Rain 2. It's clear that both games require very different fundamentals. So here's some tips on how to get better at Risk of Rain Returns for Risk of Rain 2 players. Number 1 is the difference in vertical movement between the games. In Risk of Rain 2 you could go in all types of directions, but you're quite limited when it comes to Risk of Rain Returns. So while you're playing, do remember to jump. Most enemies' attacks can be dodged by jumping. Learning the timings of the enemy's attacks and using the height to your advantage really helps you save on that very important HP. Get into the habit of constantly jumping and shooting, and also the ropes and ladders too. Now if you're like me and vertically challenged, anything over 6 foot might be a bit scary, but it's essential to do in this game. Ropes and ladders are kind of a semi-invulnerability. Some enemies can still chase you, and some enemies can still attack you. However, most can't. If you ever need a break, or need to take in a situation, form a plan, sitting on a rope or a ladder generally gives you a few seconds to breathe. Later levels this gets a little bit harder, but it's still good to have a respite every now and then. Also make sure to use ropes and ladders to enhance your jump. Jumping onto them, clinging on, and then jumping off again lets you get a little bit more height. One final tip, when climbing up, make sure to spam your jump button. It lets you climb very slightly faster. The second tip is actually looking at your options. It may sound weird, but the best option is in accessibility. The HUD at the bottom is pretty small. Even with my glasses, it's kind of hard to see. That's why I highly suggest the option to have a mini HUD around your character. You can choose between either having your health, your skills bar, or both. I personally like my health bar there. It allows me to glance at my health without taking my eyes off the action. I find the skills HUD there being a little too distracting for me, but maybe it might help you. Another option is to fix your zoom. Now it might make things look tiny, but it lets you see more of the map, which is so important when finding the TP. Finding the TP can be very hard, and you could be wandering around for like 5 minutes. The zoom option lets you find it quicker. However, you are somewhat sacrificing some visual clarity. It's all about finding that sweet spot for you. Try a bunch of different ones and see if that works. If you truly want to be skillful, zoom out until you find the teleporter and then zoom back in.
Hello there.
Number 3 is learning to strafe. What's strafing, you may ask? Strafing is the ability to shoot while moving backwards. Now, Huntress can typically do this already, so if you main her, then don't worry about a segment. However, you might still want this for all other shooting characters. At the moment, you shoot the way you're running. Unlike Risk of Rain 2, which lets me shoot my guns however I damn well please. Yeehaw, partner. Oh, that was so cringe. However, if you tap a movement in, hold your fire command, and then move the other way, you can start shooting while moving in the other direction. This is extremely good when running away, or you want to do some chip damage before an escape. It's just quite hard to do. It's so important to the game, however. Try it out yourself and soon it will become second nature to you. By the way, if you learned anything so far, maybe like the video and subscribe. Thank you very much. Number 4 is some tips during the teleporter, which works very differently than its Risk of Rain 2 counterpart. Now, one thing I'm a bit embarrassed to admit. I didn't realise you don't have to stick near the TP in Risk of Rain Returns. Maybe it's just not me. Maybe it's affected some of you guys. Risk of Rain 2 ingrained in me that you have to stick near the teleporter for it to charge. That is not a thing in Risk of Rain Returns. You can just activate the teleporter and just run off. Use the time while the teleporter is charging to go and find things. Find chests, find items, find shrines, do what you want, and maybe even find a better arena for the boss. If the boss will follow you, you can drag it to a more favourable place for yourself and let him have it. Another teleporter tip, if there's a capsule nearby, do not open it straight away. Capsules also give a little bit of health, so if you're struggling with a boss and you see a capsule nearby, you can just proc it open and you get a little bit of healing. It's definitely helped me out in some dire cases. Number 5 is the item priority. Movement items are insane in this game. With the map being so big, you need them. There's a few other items that seem essential. Missiles or anything that hits stuff in the sky is really good. Same with anything that stops time. It's carried me a few times. But don't let me tell you what exact items are the best. Experiment and see what works for you. When I read Snake Eyes, I thought it was a bit useless. But I tried it out in one run and oh my god, I'm in love with it. I think it's absolutely broken. I was shredding through enemies. easily. But again, it's up to you and your playstyle. Experiment, but be free with what you think. Don't apply Risk of Rain 2 logic to Risk of Rain returns. Hopefully these tips do help you get a little bit further in your Risk of Rain return runs. Comment down below if they've helped, and subscribe if you learned something, because it's very much appreciated. Thank you very much.